Apple, the world's largest company by market cap, reported earnings yesterday. Let's see if the stock remains a buy, a sell, or a hold coming out of these reports. To view the financials yourself, you can hit up their investors relations page, click on press release down here. It's going to pop you into this screen here where it says second quarter results are in, revenue all-time high, and the revenue for the iPhone is the largest ever on record, which is initially a catalyst, but it remains to be seen if the stock is a buy or a sell right now. The good thing, 94.8 billion in revenue for the past quarter. So they're making big money every 3 months, but it's down 3% year over year, although that was in line with expectations from analysts for this earnings announcement. And if we scroll down, we can pop open the financial statement PDF and a couple numbers in here to highlight their products area down a little bit the last 3 months, but still their services are growing to kind of make up the difference. And if you look at their revenue streams, you can see that the services is their second largest provider of revenue compared to their iPhone or other products here. If you split these out, iPhone is obviously the big money maker for Apple, but their services is growing and it was up 5% year over year. iPhone sales up, again, best ever report for iPhones. It was the largest quarter ever for their iPhone sales, which is great to see. So the iPhone and the services part of their business are really carrying the load. The MacBook, the iPad, the watches, the AirPods were down a little bit year over year, but overall, if we're looking at the revenue coming in, 94.8 billion, as we said, gross profit 42. We've got some revenue and cost of doing business down here and some operating expenses, research and development, standard kind of costs down here, product services. And we get an overall net profit of 24.2 billion, which is kind of in line with expectations and didn't really change year over year. What we can see as well is that Apple's revenue breakdown, the iPhone is continuing to be the main driver here. If you look at it graphically, is the black line. You can then see this little blue area at the bottom. It is slowly increasing. That is their services division, which is making them more and more money almost every quarter that goes by. It's ticking along. So we're talking here about like kind of Apple storage, Apple Music, these different things, the Mac Store, right? iCloud, all these different products, iTunes and Apple Books. These are all growing in popularity and use, and it's creating a secondary revenue stream that is going to hopefully surpass these other kind of three products and become more of a recurring revenue stream instead of these big kind of products having to launch products all the time. You can have the iPhone, you can have the services making up a bulk of the business to get this nice gross profit area. Flipping back into this report here as well, there's also a big old announcement at the bottom that they're authorizing 90 billion in share repurchases. That is a great thing to see. They also raised the dividends by 4% to 24 cents per share. So these two things are great. And they're great because number one, the company is making money. It's making billions of dollars in profit, which is awesome. It's authorizing share buybacks, which almost always happens when the company stocks drops a little bit. They'll buy back at a cheaper rate. And the dividend increase is nice to all our investors out there who hold shares. Plus, they are increasing their market capitalization in other areas instead of outside of the US. In Europe, it's kind of flatlined, just grew a little bit. America's actually declined a little bit, 37 billion compared to 40 billion. Greater China dropped a little bit, but then you have this big area here, rest of Asia Pacific, where you're going to probably talk about looking at the market in India right here and just understand that this is an area where they want to expand and grow because the population is young. They're becoming more tech savvy. They're going to have more tech than their parents did. And with an exploding population in here, this sets up nicely for Apple moving forward. If they can kind of capture some of this market cap here, plug them into this model right here, and have those kind of services, iPhones, products get filtered down the line, it bodes well for future income. Moving into the chart for Apple, you can see that right now we are kind of approaching this area of major resistance here around this 176 area, this topping out point right here. This is going to be a huge barrier or potentially roof on the stock short term, but we have this little kind of line we got to draw in here. We've got this topping out line right here, okay? This is what we're looking at right now. The tops, every time this hits this line, boom, 1, 2, 3, we're at 4 times right now. There needs to be a push. And you can see pre-market that we have a bit of a push kind of up to that line, that level. If we break through this level right here and kind of get up through this area, that is like off to the races potentially. As soon as we hit there, I expect to see a little bit of a pullback right around this kind of top and out area here, 176. But assuming we can get past 176, go up, maybe come back down and retest a little bit, it's going to be an area up here once we get above this area at 183. If we're above this, so this red line up here, the yellow line up here, if this breaks up at the top and we get above this area right here, it is zoom out time. Like, look what's going on. It's off to the races up here. It's never been done. It's open area. And if that happens, Apple is going to rip and there's no telling where it's going to go. It's unlimited territory because it's never been done before. So that's where it gets exciting as an Apple investor and a stockholder up here. On the flip side here, I'm going to get to my prediction here in a second, but we had this face kind of ripping little run up here over the past, let's call it 3 months. We've had just Apple on an absolute tear in line with its seasonality, by the way. If the stock can't break through this channel line, this up kind of trend channel line up here, and it does end up making new lows down here, well, that's good for the company because they can use their buybacks in this area and they can buy the stock cheaper than what it is currently trading at today. When this happens and they buy back down here, just like you and I as investors, and the stock price increases, they're making money. They can sell those shares for profit later on and keep reinvesting that back in the company. So I'm going to zoom in here and have a very, very watchful eye on this area right here. Can this trend line be broken? If it does get broken up, I'm looking for it to go up, come back down, retest. Once it retests once down here and becomes a floor instead of a ceiling, the breakout is on. And I'm looking at going in a bullish direction up to 183, up to this area up here as well at 175. We break through those and we're off to the races. I think, in my own estimation, it's going to do a little bit of a kind of pullback, kind of a breather down here just to see what's going on before regaining momentum and then moving higher. So I'm not currently in yet right now on Apple. I'm going to wait and see if this breaks and holds. If it does, my sentiment changes and I'm back in the game up here as we break out to new all-time highs. The moral of the story, though, Apple is a behemoth of a company. They have multiple highly profitable revenue streams. They are making money year over year in line with expectations. They have a breakdown of products that are growing in different facets and different speeds, and they're emerging into different markets with their different capabilities. So to me, it's a great company to own. It is a long-term winner. Dividends, share buybacks, the stock price has been a kind of immune to kind of the inflationary period that we've seen here with other things declining. Apple seems to be declining less and recovering faster, which always bodes well for future success. Hope you got some value to this one today. Subscribe to the channel if you did, and I will catch you on the next one.